Mandatory minicamp is here, guys, and we have some of the notes taken by Pete Space Sweeney. I was not at mandatory minicamp. They have not come to your favorite resident armchair and extended that olive branch. Not yet, but maybe once we cross 5,000 subscribers, we'll get there. But there are some notes that I thought were worth taking, were worth examining from Peter Bartholomew Sweeney's thread on X, and they begin before the practice itself. I have, I believe, 7 notes here, and the first one is present but not practicing. These were names on injury designations. Derek Noddy, okay, well, big guy, he's been here for a while, maybe needs some time off. Charles Omenihu, obviously the ACL issue that will hold him out from part of the season, and Xavier Worthy still. I do not believe that Xavier Worthy took part in the rookie minicamp. Xavier Worthy, I do not believe, really participated much in the OTAs, and now we're here in mandatory minicamp without Xavier Worthy really participating. Now, I'm not one of these guys who thinks that practice is the be-all, end-all, right? Especially at the NFL level, especially with all of the rules and restrictions that have gone into place on, what is and what is not allowed in practice. But there is a note a little bit later on that is going to shed some light on why a wide receiver like Xavier Worthy would need to be on the field building a rapport with Patrick Mahomes. It's not the end of the world, obviously. There is plenty of time before the regular season kickoff. But for a guy who, look, I don't think there's anyone who's completely comfortable with Xavier Worthy's size. I had talked about it extensively leading up to the draft, and 165 pounds, guys. I was a sophomore in high school, and I'm a little guy. So, obviously the injury concerns are there from the contact portion of the sport. You amplify that when you're a speed guy. Now, I'm not trying to ring alarm bells or anything like that. It's just a little disappointing to get to this point, and Xavier Worthy is still holding his hamstring. Not an injury. He is moving about. So what is the extent of this, and how deep does it go? I would rather it be lingering now than into the season, so I guess just take that for what it is. Now, the next note from Peter Gregorius Sweeney that is worth talking about: Rice won the day in 11 on 11. 11 on 11. Rice had 5 catches, including 3 touchdowns. In 7-on-7 work, he added 3 catches, including a touchdown. Any off-the-field stuff has very clearly not impacted anything on the field. Based on this look, I will disagree. I think that this is probably because all of the off-the-field stuff is weighing on Rashee Rice. You and I both know sometimes when stuff isn't going so good in the social life, you bury yourself in work. I would imagine, and so here's the thing. Those eras of your life, have they been transformative for the better or the worse? Always, in my experience, those moments have been transformative for the better. You understand your craft more. Whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is in which you bury yourself, you understand it better. There is an element of first principles thinking when you are returning to something that is your home base, right? So when the world around you is on fire and you return to work, which is your pride rock, you get to work and you say, man, It would be awful to lose this. So, what are the things that I have to do first to not lose this? And once you establish those things, because most places, most jobs, most careers, most professions, the don't get fired stuff is pretty easy. You have to understand it, but it's pretty easy. After that, you can let your talents, abilities, work ethic take over, and it is one of those times where you can level up in life. It seems maybe that's what's happening with Rashee Rice now. The world around him is on fire, and so he is becoming rooted in his work. I don't know if judgmental is the correct word, but it's definitely good enough. I was judgmental earlier in this offseason when it seemed... So the issue with the car, that's a pretty bad... In my opinion, that's a pretty bad one. Leaving a scene like that is pretty bad. Now, the issue, I think it was simple assault in a nightclub. Look, I don't know all the details, never really looked into it. You haul off and smack somebody in a nightclub, sometimes somebody deserves a smacking. Doesn't mean you can do it, right? But if whoever, I think it was a guy, if that guy deserved it, that guy deserved it. If it's a woman, guess it's a different story, right? So depending on what it was that happened there, that could have been just unfortunate circumstances piling on top. Definitely, if it were me, so I've said this about Rashee Rice. I am very lucky that when I was the dumbest, I was not a millionaire. Right? Rashee Rice happens to be the dumbest he's going to be in his adult life, right? A young adult. You don't get dumber from your early 20s. Well, it's hard. You can do it, but it's hard. When I was in my early 20s, if I had millions of dollars, I would have definitely made stupid decisions too. I never said that anything that he's done is irrecoverable, but it could be that as opposed to what Peter Machiavelli Sweeney is telling us, that the off the field stuff is not weighing on Rashee Rice, that it is. And that will actually catapult him forward in his career. Some people, that's what it takes, right? Some people, I mean, you can sit here listening to me right now and think, man, if I were 6'2", 205 pounds, and I ran a 4.5 40 and I had a 41-inch vertical, it wouldn't take all those mistakes in my life for me to learn and get on the up and up. Yeah, but maybe it would, right? You just don't know. Of course, I have no idea what it's like to be 6'2", 205 and run a 4.5 40, but certainly have no idea what it's like to have a 41-inch vertical. The next note that I thought was worth emphasizing, the Chiefs are emphasizing a return to downfield passing, and Patrick Mahomes' two best shots today were just out of Brown's reach, Marquise Brown. I noticed DB Chamari Connor close in pursuit of the two misfires. Now, the first thing that is absolutely worth observing here is that Chamari Connor was close behind 4-2-7 running Marquise Brown streaking down the field. The other thing worth noting here, and this is why it's kind of getting disappointing to not see Xavier Worthy on the football field, is that this timing stuff really needs to get ironed out. And I don't mean this in a chastising way, but that's how it works, right? This is why you see so many quarterbacks emphasize the off-season stuff because it's difficult. You learn a guy's speed, a guy's tendencies, a guy's preferences during these types of practices. I remember when I was young, there was a special on some Sunday about Steve Young and Jerry Rice. And Steve Young knew that when you threw the ball to Jerry Rice, you got to flick your wrist this way because that puts the spiral on the football towards the sideline. And that's how Jerry likes to catch it, right? learning all of these little intricacies about your wide receivers is important, and it's easier to do that with repetition. Obviously, it's easier to learn those things per wide receiver in repetition against padded practice with full defenses, etc., etc., etc. But the more you get that ball out of your hands towards that other guy, the easier it's going to be. Now, we have two misfires here between Patrick Mahomes and Marquise Brown. I don't think that that's going to remain the case as it did with Patrick Mahomes and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We have enough evidence from Hollywood Brown's career that it is likely, in my opinion, that he does end up getting on the same page as Patrick Mahomes at some point. Hopefully, Xavier Worthy is the same. The next note worth talking about: after a catch, Kelce attempted to lateral to Hollywood. LOL moment. This is not something he is ready for yet. Kelce later had a touchdown off a pick play. Tight end Jared Wiley high pointed. So first off, Travis, get it out of your system, buddy, please. Get it out of your system, because if I see this again I'm going to have a heart attack. These are pucker factor moments on Sundays, and I want this to be a nice, easy 17-0 run straight through the playoffs type season. Any more of these lateral plays, please don't do this to me. Your local scrambling armchair is begging you, Mr. Kelce. The next thing here, a couple notes on Jared Wiley. Jared Wiley high-pointed a touchdown from Mahomes in red zone work. Wiley looks like he belongs so far. We've discussed this. We discussed this in the full video on Jared Wiley's on Jared Wiley being a draft pick. However you want to say that. I made a full video after Jared Wiley was selected. When was the last time, really, when was the last time you saw a Kansas City Chiefs player high point a pass from Patrick Mahomes? The last one I can think of is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill had several high point grabs for Patrick Mahomes. The last time I remember Travis Kelce doing it was probably that 2019 season, I believe. And look, there's no sin in Travis Kelce not being a high pointer at this point in his career. He's coming up. He was a rookie in 2013, so he's coming up on his 11th season in the NFL, right? Is that correct? And doesn't always work. Body doesn't always work. He has done an impressive job of adjusting his game to the body that he is in, to the age that he plays. He's done great at that, way better than most players ever do. But he's not high pointing any passes. I genuinely cannot remember. There was a high point from Justin Ross last preseason. I don't believe Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback for that throw. He might have been. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one. It was preseason. It never counted. The dimension of being able to high point passes in your offense, if this was a genuine high pointed pass, if this was Patrick Mahomes letting her rip and a guy elevating and bringing it in, that's going to be an element to this offense that absolutely is irreplaceable. it will prolong so many drives that it's ridiculous if we really have a high point specialist. Travis Kelce on Jared Wiley. Jay Wiley, man, he's got a lot of upside. Very comfortable, smart guy. I would say he looks a lot further along than I was as a rookie in terms of just understanding the offense and really seeing the field. He's trusting what he's seeing right now. So look, Travis Kelce himself is saying that in many ways Jared Wiley is ahead of where he was as a rookie. First off, I don't know if I trust Travis Kelce's memory. Second off, Travis Kelce's rookie season, not very impressive. Third off, who should I talk about here? Greg Hill. Greg Hill had a much better rookie season than Priest Holmes. Those two players had a very different ceiling. So, this is not to say that Jared Wiley is going to be better than Travis Kelce. There's nothing here saying that. But if he could be more impactful to the Kansas City Chiefs in his rookie season than was Travis Kelce, that would be a pretty good trade. The next thing, wide receiver Nico Remigio did a good job on a broken play. New Wentz was looking in his direction and fought off a defender to get open as he backpedaled toward the far right pylon for a touchdown. Here we go. Nico Remigio, broken play, backpedaled, fought off defender. These are things that you love to see in coordination with Nico Remigio. This is exactly the type of game that wide receiver Nico Remigio will have to play in order to succeed and possibly excel at the NFL level. A scrappy type of football, a scrappy brand of wide receiver. He's going to have to fight for things, and eventually he can win. But a lot of times, he's going to find a player that is not willing to fight as hard as is Nico Remigio. And when that happens, when you find a guy whose will you crush, you're going to have a successful day. Wide receivers, players in general in the NFL, players of Nico Remigio's stature and weight and maybe skill level and measurables, they're going to have to out-determine people. They're going to have to outwork, out-hustle, out-tough all of these other behemoths in the NFL. It is good to see that Nico Remigio is still that guy, because it's going to be what he's going to have to be. And finally, Defensive Player of the Day, Brian Cook. Cook did not appear to miss a rep here, despite last year's injury. Surprised by how fast he looks. During sevens, Kelce tipped a ball in the air that Cook brought in for an interception. In 11s, later, Cook broke up another Kelce target. So, first off, it is great to see that Brian Cook is full speed. It is good to see that Brian Cook is full go. If you remember back, as late as just about a month ago, I think, I was questioning what is going on here. You know, is Brian Cook going to be full speed? Ankles are a weird thing, and that was a nasty looking injury. It appears through OTAs and now in mandatory minicamp that Brian Cook is in fact going to be full speed for week 1, snap 1. Here's another thing. Peter Da Vinci Sweeney said, and Pete watches a lot of Chiefs football. Pete is present for a lot of Chiefs practice time, at least leading into the season. I don't know if they do any, I don't know how much stuff they're privy to during the regular season, but if anyone's going to know how fast Brian Cook looks on the average, it's going to be someone like Peter Moyers Sweeney. He's going to know and be prepared for how Brian Cook looks on the football field. If he looks faster, it may be that in his rehabilitation, he was focusing on things that were reflexive. He was focusing on things that were not necessarily strength building, but resilience building. That he was focusing on things that were maybe not aimed at improving speed or agility, but that may have been part of the byproduct. Maybe Brian Cook, with months off of actually being able to play football, slimmed down a little bit. Who knows? It will be interesting to see if any of that comes out in the press. But if Brian Cook did pick up a step of speed along the way, man, these safeties are all of a sudden very, very intimidating. So that is all from the digested notes that I have from Peter Gorvidal's Sweeney's notes. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, it helps me out if you hit the like button. The Kansas City Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. So if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Kansas City Chiefs are it on this channel. So consider hitting that subscribe button to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.